Morning, back at the helm here, the ATH in a very noisy Sunday midday. Yeah, it's not Bath today, it's Bath, darling. And we're starting off in Marlborough Buildings. Whoops. The Marlborough Buildings, construction of these started in 1788, and by 1791 there were 22 occupied houses. There are a few whole houses left, but most of them have been smashed into flats. It would only have been toffs purchasing these back in the 18th century, and unlike the earlier buildings, the shell was actually completed out the back, and then you would contract craftsmen do the plastering and all the woodwork and what have you. The Marlborough Buildings Residents Association have an excellent website. As regards the history, pop along and have a look. But there's one thing that they fail to mention on their website, which is the reason that this row of houses was built. And it was originally built as a windbreak for this monstrosity. Yeah, the Royal Crescent. "30 terrace houses in the Crescent, mostly divided into flats now. There are a few whole houses which go for about 5-6 million each, when they ever come on the market. But can you imagine spending 5 million quid on a terrace house that has 12 neighbours? You could have 6 flats either side. The odds are one of them's going to do your head, isn't it? Can't quite see the infinity pool of the 18th century, the infinity lawn. Down there's a ha-ha wall which kept the sheep and the peasants, the hoi polloi, off. And it gave the illusion of the lawn running all the way down to the river down there. Those trees wouldn't have been there. It's now known as Royal Victoria Park, and because of the name, you can guess it was established in Victorian times. But this video isn't about the Royal Crescent. It's an attempt at a light-hearted look at the way Georgian Bath was planned, because it didn't evolve around roads, rivers and industry as most towns and cities did. It was designed using sacred geometry and contains enough Masonic and occult symbolism to melt the brains of even the most hardy students who delve too deep. Oh, there's a thunderbox on the street. Here dwelt Sir Isaac Pitman, 1815 to 1907. I know who he is. He invented the typewriter. Here we go past the hotel, Royal Crescent Hotel. But they're not allowed to have a big sign up, so they put a little sign on the planters. Great, isn't it, having vans parked outside your £5 million house. I just noticed 12 buzzers on one house, so that means that house is split into 12 apartments, so you could have 24 neighbours for your £5 million house. Not interested in that today. This was designed using sacred geometry. And the architect responsible was John Wood the Elder. It was his son, the younger, that built this. But I'm pretty sure his old man had sketched it out on the back of a clay pipe packet. Whatever they did back then. Now, Wood the Elder, he cut his teeth in architecture in London, building the Cavendish Harley estate. And if any of you are familiar with around Harley Street, Cavendish Square, Marylebone, that's where the Georgian Square originated. There's number 1. It's a whole house owned by the council and it's a museum. We'll go in there one day. I tried to get out earlier and couldn't. There's a lovely tour bus. Blot on the landscape. They used to come along the Crescent. At the other end, the Residents Association took years and years of haggling with the council to get bollards put in so that the buses couldn't go down there anymore. Most people were sat on the top deck taking photographs into people's houses. Even though photography is not a crime. Shut up. It must have been pretty unpleasant. You bought your weekend retreat in the Crescent and you got people gawping in. I know the young lady whose parents bought that to retire in. They only paid £4 million for it. Loose change to their old man though. So once Wood the Elder was done in London, he came to Bath, darling. Busy for the end of November. I'm going to take my shades off. Here we go. Wood the Elder's first buildings were the North and South Parades in 1728, followed by Queen Square, 1735. We'll be going there in a bit. Prior Park for his mate Ralph Allen, and the Royal Mineral Water Hospital, or the Min, as we called it when it was open. It's now closed. Going to end up as a hotel or student accommodation, something like that. But this video is about the Masonic and occult symbolism that's contained in this planned city. And this circular street, known as the Circus, is recognised as the first circular street in Europe, if not the world. If you know of one, please let us know. Well, the foundation stone was laid by Wood the Elder in 1754. but he never saw it finished as he shuffled off this mortal coil less than 3 months after laying the foundation stone, a couple of months shy of his 50th birthday. No bullseye for you, Johnny boy, but there can be no denying that what he achieved in his lifetime was quite clearly astonishing. But before we look at what is considered to be this first circular street in the world, we need to have a look at Wood the Elder himself. What drove him, his passions, his convictions, his beliefs. I'm just gonna put this down here a second. Yeah, alright mate. What else you get for Christmas? In 1727, Wood claimed that little had changed in Bath for 100 years. And he said, "The streets and public ways of the city were become like so many dunghills, slaughterhouses and pigsties." Yeah, not wrong. So Wood's plan was to transform this medieval mess of Bath into an elegant, fashionable and prosperous city. But he believed that Bath was a historic and cultural centre of the ancient Britons, the Druids. And he'd come to this conclusion from his survey of the Stanton Drew stone circles, only 10 miles west of Bath, and of Stonehenge. His survey of Stonehenge in 1740 is said to be the final survey before the final trilithon fell. He took 800 measurements at Stonehenge, and they've since been entered into a computer program which pretty much proved the existence of the megalithic yard, an ancient unit of measurement that is found around the globe in a myriad of megalithic sites. It's getting quite windy. Might have to put me windy things on. Be back in a tick. Yeah, these measurements that Wood the Elder took, and I've no idea how he took them, turned out to be incredibly accurate. Maybe I should read his books. And I understand that a lot of people who still worship at Stonehenge during summer and winter solstices today are totally unaware that Stonehenge was rebuilt in the 1930s and the 1950s. But it's a well documented fact. Go have a look for yourself, go on. Do some research. But Wood the Elder wrote many books in his life, but the ones of interest here are Stonehenge Quaagua of 1740, The Origin of Building or the Plagiarism of the Heathens Detected, 1741, and a year later an essay towards a description of the city of Bath. It's busy, isn't it? I can't believe how busy it is. But let's get on to the gritty part of it. I'm going to feel quite uncomfortable filming these people's houses today, but if you go and buy a house in one of the most photographed streets in Britain, you've got to expect people with cameras rocking up. Well, Wood believed that the Druidic tradition originated from a mythical king, a king first recorded by Geoffrey of Monmouth in the 12th century, King Bladud. And we don't have time here to delve into Geoffrey's writings, we'd be here for weeks. But today's general consensus is that Geoff was a bit of a bullshitter and made up his own versions of historical events to suit his own agenda. Woohoo! I hope the wind noise isn't too bad. And so on to the circus at last. I'm going to change to an app now so that I can use the telephoto. The acoustics of this place are absolutely terrific. If I close my glasses case. So, let's have a look at the King's Circus, as it was originally called. Many claim that this place was modelled on the Colosseum in Rome, as they share the same diameter. And with Stonehenge being at least a couple of thousand years older than the Colosseum, you can make your own mind up. There are supposedly 30 houses arranged within 3 segments. The outer circle at Stonehenge has 30 stones, and the inner circle 29 stones. And a lunar month has a mean of 29.5 days. In fact, one of these houses doesn't even have a door onto the circus. It has a door onto Bennett Street, over there. There's people checking out the acoustics. It's a bit windy for the acoustics. You come here on a quiet morning and just click your fingers, and in a quiet morning with no wind, it comes back at you 20 times. It must have been planned. I'm doing a little video about Wood the Elder. But I'm not allowed to say that. Yeah? I think that's a tour guide where people pay someone 25 quid to walk around Bath and chat shit. I think I found a new vocation. I said supposedly 30 houses, but a few of these front doors are false, because originally just the facade was built, and the buyer would buy the facade and the plot behind. So if you bought 2, you could get your building contractor to just build one house behind the 2 doors. And only number 6. Let's go and have a look at this. Your average Joe just walking around taking photographs really wouldn't understand this. As you can see, number 1 over there on the end, doors to the left, then number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. See anything different about number 6? The door's in the middle. It's not at the end. There's a reason for that, but it's secret. Not allowed to tell. So there are 3 classical orders at work here in the pillars. The bottom ones are Greek Doric. The ones on top, sorry about that, are the Roman composite, and the top ones there are Corinthian. And on top of that, you can see the acorns, and acorns all around the top. How many there are, I'm not that sure. But that has to be a nod to Wood's heroes, the Druids. Now, the really interesting thing about the circus so with 3 segments, to this circus. It's different to the ones in London because Bath exported the circus to exported the circus to London and the Crescent to London, but it imported the square, and that was Wood, the elder, who brought the square. So this is the really important thing. Notice it says circus and not the circus. It's the frieze. Let's have a look at it. I can't see them properly. You've got crossed anchors, flowers. Oh, I know somebody would be interested in that. The symbol of fascists. Yes, that's repeated, like a lute or something. There's the fascista with a club. First view. Oh, there's a heart with an arrow through it. Was he broken hearted? Another heart. Thank you. There's a serpent. Don't like using the app, I'll be honest. Quite dirty, those ones. Needs a clean. So that's the first segment that would have been finished. It took years to build, 10, 12 years, something like that. The third segment was the last to be built because Wood the Younger hadn't purchased the land due to high interest rates, and there was a big banking crash in the middle of the 18th century. A heart with 2 arrows through it. The first person ever to move in was Lady Stanhope. She moved into number 1 when they were completed. Let's have a look. Lord Clive. Surely that's Clive of India. 1725, 1774. He wasn't very old, was he? 49? Let's sort this telephoto lens out. Another serpent. I've tried to descriptions online of what all these things mean, and I failed. I suppose I'll have to go to the Public Record Office, but here, number 17, looks like it's to the whole house. No, it's split into two, but it's Gainsborough's place. Thomas Gainsborough, and he lived here for quite a while, and he did actually paint portraits at this address. I'm having to walk sideways to, what's that monkey doing above number 18? Ah, that looks slightly Masonic. And here's the third segment. And the Bennett Street entrance to one of the houses, so that there were 29 and 30 houses. Again, circus, not the circus. It's just Latin for circular. There's an acorn. More serpents. Took some doing. Who lived in this one then? Major Andre. Don't know who he is, I'm afraid. I haven't done my research. Three castles. Castles, darling. There's another mucky one that looks empty as well. Probably a business. See right through the back. A shovel and rake. A wishing well, or just a water well. One to the left of the well looks a bit like a blacksmith's tool. There's the bundle of sticks and axe again. The international sign for fascists, and there's a sickle as well. I'm going to have to find out what all these are about. And there we go. There we go. Set squares and dividers. You can't get more Masonic than that. So yeah, some of them are repeated. Do you know, in the 30 years I've lived here, I've never done this. Everybody knows about the different designs around, but there must be some record of what they mean. I mean, guys had to carve them, so did they ask questions? Were they allowed to know what they were carving? So there it is. So this is we've just walked around the handle of one of the Masonic keys of Bath. Let's walk down the shaft. It's Gay Street. Try not to get run over. It's really difficult filming with loads of people about. Maybe I should come back and do it in the morning. So yeah, we're walking down. I shouldn't say so yet. I don't like that. Tell me off if I say that. Down the shaft of the quay. Lots of businesses operate out of these places now. Andrew Brownstone, the hotels. He's the gift card guy. Made a fortune out of birthday cards and christening cards. Now, if you see over there, above the charity shop, you can see that that house hasn't been cleaned. When I first moved to Bath, most of the houses were like that. It's covered in soot. And when they first tried to clean them, they started with a jet wash. Well, because this oolitic limestone, or eggstone as it's called, is so soft, it absolutely destroyed it. So what they ended up doing was putting scaffolding up, shielding it off, and just dribbling water down from the top over days and weeks, and it worked. That used to be Jamie Oliver's HQ with his restaurants. It didn't last long here. Maybe people wanted turkey twizzlers. There's the House of Frankenstein. It's a new museum. I'm not going to pay to get into that. I think you'd have a clean apron, wouldn't you, really? Come on, mate. There's a board game cafe over there. Thirsty Meeples. And next to that, the Jane Austen Museum, where you pay 12 quid to go in, write your name with a quill, try on a raggedy old wig, and have a cup of tea. Ooh, something going on. So we've finished at the shaft now, and now we're into the steps, or depths as locksmiths call them. There's a Ferrari there, that. Little run around town. So this is Queen Square, which was John Wood the Elder's first speculative development, the very first one. I wonder what's going on there then. Do you know, I should have come earlier in the morning. I'm really not enjoying this because you have eyes in your back of your head. The Francis Hotel, which was completely destroyed during the Bath Blitz, April 1942. Pinterest is a great place to go for pictures of Bath, especially of the Bath Blitz. And it'll be the 80th anniversary next April, so I think I'll do a piece then. That's 5 months away. Look, I wanted to come in and I'm not allowed. So it's named after Queen Elizabeth II. The 200th anniversary of the design of the square. The obelisk of 1738 was repaired and the railings were provided by contributors to the Bath Preservation Trust Appeal 1977. because a lot of railings ended up in scrapyards during the Second World War. And look at that obelisk. I wanted to go in and get a shot of the obelisk. That's where I'd planned. That's where I planned to end the video. Guardian of the obelisk in high vis. Thank you. See, we've even got nice people in high vis in Bath. So they go, what are you doing? So let's walk around the business end. I'm going to try and cut out some crap bits of this. But my editing skills are like ham-fisted. It's quite a nice way to describe them. You've probably noticed that I'm not that keen on the Georgians, because people come here to gawp at the lovely buildings whilst not considering for a moment where they got their money from. So don't get me started on that. So coming towards the end of the... Jesus, I can't even get round. I can't get up there. I can't get round here. You got anything better to do apart from come and gawp at Georgian Bath? There's our crap museum over there. You'd think a city like this would have banging museums. There's one that I'm going to take you to shortly, which is a Masonic museum in the Masonic Lodge, which was the original Theatre Royal in Bath, and after they moved to new premises, the theatre, it became a church, and then the Masonic Lodge. Wow, they've cleaned this up proper. That needs a haircut. Well, stonemason's done that, eh? Don't you think the traffic spoils the walk-arounds? I wonder what's going on there. Is some mini Christmas market because the main one's been called off for this year, and they've had all the flagstones up there. So I suppose this is a good time to ask you to like the video if you've enjoyed it. I've been far too busy here for me to enjoy making it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stick bells on it, because you never know, I might do other uploads. I'm not at work next week. But I'd like to end with a quote from an 18th century Scottish philosopher. David Hume, who according to Monty Python's Flying Circus could out-consume Schopenhauer and Hegel. And he said, beauty is no quality in things. Beauty is no quality in things themselves. It exists merely in the mind which contemplates them, and each mind perceives a different beauty. Too busy for me. I do apologise. I think I might have to come back and do this again. Back at the helm out.